You are going to grow on Instagram in 30 days, and here is exactly how you're going to do it. I have built out a content calendar, content ideas, and made Canva templates for your Instagram carousels. And we're going to be unpacking, deep diving actually, into the Instagram algorithm in 2025 and like what's going on with Instagram, which I never do, but I feel like today we need to talk with algorithm a little bit. And this is your new 30-day challenge, 30-day content plan to growing on Instagram. You can use this 30-day plan anytime you need like a growth phase, but I'm going to be packaging everything we talk about today into a 30-day Instagram challenge. I'm going to be following this exactly in February of 2025. So whenever you're watching this video, if you want to go over to my Instagram, scroll back to February 2025, my entire feed will be full of content ideas and examples of everything I'm going to talk about today. I will be posting all the rules, all the content into an Instagram graphic over at the Busy Blooming Instagram as well. I will have everything linked down below, the content calendar, the Canva templates, everything is free as always. And let's just get into it. Our new plan to grow on Instagram in 30 days. One of the best ways to grow on social media in 2025 is to truly be organized with your content and really treat it like a business. It can be so overwhelming as a content creator every week of where to organize your brand deals, your content calendar, your content ideas, brand deal deadlines, and weekly tasks. And that's where today's sponsor comes in, ClickUp. I'm so excited ClickUp is sponsoring today's video. I've used them for years as a content creator. I also use them as a social media manager. I've used them in so many different ways over the years, and I'm so excited to tell you about them because ClickUp will just help you feel so organized on a weekly basis as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, and it's a platform that is so amazing that I personally love. ClickUp is known for being the everything app for work, which it totally is, where you can customize your work, calendar ideas, and tasks exactly how you want them every week in a system that works for you. The way that you create checklists and tasks on ClickUp is so elevated because every task that you create has its own checklist of things to do because as you know, as a content creator, so much more goes into every task than we realize. For example, if you need to plan a podcast episode, you can add it as a task and then a checklist underneath every little thing that you need to do, which is so helpful. In addition to checklists and tasks, you can also create documents to do podcast scripts, video ideas, content ideas, video outlines. And my personal favorite feature is the time tracking feature. This is so great for personal use to figure out how long tasks actually take, but it's also so great when you work with clients to track your time for your invoicing. Also, if you're somebody who works with social media clients, it is such an amazing platform to manage all of your clients, all their tasks, all their deadlines. It's so great for that. If you want to get started with ClickUp, you could use my link in the description and use the code YouTube to get started for free with ClickUp. They are such an amazing platform. It is such a game changer as a content creator and as an entrepreneur, so definitely go check them out. Okay, so if you watch my content, you already know the first thing I'm going to say is we need to lay the foundation. We need to figure out what season of content we're in. We need to get in a good mindset because listen, I could tell you, okay, you're going to post 3 times a day on Instagram for the next 30 days, but what are you going to post? What topics, what content, who are you talking to? What's your brand? What do you want to be known for? And if you don't have all those things figured out, you don't have a solid foundation, content creation is going to feel extremely overwhelming, extremely random, and you're going to hate your life. So if you don't know the answer to any of those questions, I have a full deep dive video explaining how to build your blue sky scenario, build your vision, build your mission. I also have a workbook that I'll link down below that does that. But if you do know the answer to all those questions, what you want to be known for, who you want in your community, let's get into laying the season, the focus of our content over the next 30 days on Instagram. So a couple weeks ago, I posted a video going through a 3-month content strategy about how to hard launch the 1 million version of you on social media. Every 3 months, I have an ongoing series where I do a quarterly content strategy of content ideas, content pillars, mindsets to be in every quarter that we all follow together. And so this season we're going to be in as content creators, podcasters, entrepreneurs, and social media over the next 30 days is to be in the hard launch 1 million version of us. I want you to create and post content like the version of you when you have 1 million followers, when you're a guest on your favorite large podcast. That is who you and I are posting as over the next 30 days on Instagram. Another season, another focus we're in over the next 30 days is we are in a growth phase. We're focusing on creating content for people who don't follow us to reach new people. And when I talk about the algorithm, this is going to make sense of why I picked these content pillars, these content ideas to really cater to finding people on Instagram who don't follow us. And over the next 30 days, with every piece of content that you post, I want you to ask yourself, if you had 1 million followers, is this what you would post? Are these the topics, the brand, the vibe that you would do? Is this content savable or shareable? Because we're going to get into the algorithm, but that is so important when trying to grow on Instagram. Like, would someone share this to their Instagram story or send it to their friend? And could anybody else post this? Like, is this content specific enough? Like, instead of just saying, saying confidence tip. Your content will be confidence tips for your corporate job when you get stress rashes every time you talk in a meeting. Like that is so specific. So that is the season, the era, the foundation we're going to have over the next 30 days with content. Instagram honestly needs to watch out for all of us because we're about to show up on Instagram over the next 30 days and like post like the million version of us. People are not ready for you. Like it's a hard launch. It's happening. We're not reintroducing ourselves. We're not like explaining what we're doing. We're just doing it. Okay, let's get into the fun part, the actual content we're going to be posting over the next 30 days. So I have built out a detailed content calendar with content pillars, inspo posts, hooks, styles, everything. The content calendar I will link below is just a base. You don't have to follow it exactly to the T. I will be. And not saying that my content is like the perfect, best content in the world, but if you want some inspiration and some thought starters, I will be following that calendar exactly step by step. So you can go to my Instagram and like correlate like, okay, carousel, hook, this is what she means. So for the next 30 days, we're going to be posting 30 pieces of content in 30 days. I know. That's a lot of content, and you might be thinking, that's not gonna happen. Like, I'm not doing that. And that's okay. Again, you can choose your own adventure. When I'm thinking about being in a growth phase and trying to grow on Instagram, reaching people who don't follow us, I think posting once a day is a good amount of content to grow. So we're gonna post 30 pieces of content in 30 days, but we're gonna do it in like a peaceful way without like hustle, burnout, toxic energy, because we don't do that. So what we're gonna do is look at the month as a whole. There's 30 pieces of content in 30 days, and we're going to do 3 content pillars with a potential for bonus content pillars. I know the content I talk about majority of the time, 99% of the time, it is for people who give advice for content about like tips, guides, how-tos. Like that is my content. Naturally, I love to talk about how to grow on social media, content creation, confidence, cringe, building your dream life, building a business. But I have to say, this busy blooming community is full of entrepreneurial creators who do want to give tips and guides and advice. There's not that many solo influencers. All you post is like vlogs and lifestyle content. But I want to welcome the lifestyle girlies in here. Like you're welcome, busy blooming. If you want to be more of an influencer and a vlogger and a comfort creator like Emily Kaiser coded content, then I want this strategy to work for you as well. So I've included that in here as well. Because on my personal Instagram, yes, of course, I want to give tips, but I actually as well personally want to post a little bit of lifestyle content as well, like vlogs. So we're going to be breaking it all down, but the overall structure of the next 30 days is 30 pieces of content in 30 days, and we have 3 content pillars. So I've designed these 3 content pillars to be buckets of content and styles of content that really do foster growth, keeping Instagram specifically in mind. So the 3 content pillars are the same pillars from the 1 million 3-month strategy. So we're going to follow those 3 pillars over 30 days. So the 3 content pillars, the 3 buckets of content we're going to follow is top FAQs, 2025 mini guides, and trend problems. If you're a lifestyle creator, hold on a second because you might want to swap a few of these out. So we'll talk about that. So content pillar 1 is top FAQs. What this pillar is you're creating content about the biggest problems or the biggest questions you want to be known as an expert in. This could be content you've already created or created content about before. So for example, I could do a video under this pillar on brand deals, how to grow on social media, how to become a full-time content creator in 2025. If you're sitting on your favorite podcast, what are the types of questions you want to be known for as an expert in, as the go-to person for? If you want to be a more influencer lifestyle creator, what you could do for this top FAQs pillar of thinking about the big questions you want to be known for, the big problems you want to solve, is taking your lifestyle content and making it outward focused. So for example, if you want to post your outfit of the days and your day in your life, Alyssa, who we have to on the podcast, she has the best way to talk about this, and she talks about making lifestyle content unselfish rather than saying, here's my morning routine, I woke up at 5, went to the gym, and had a smoothie for breakfast. Like, no one cares. What you could do for that vlog is flip it in this pillar, make it top FAQs, outward focused, and say, here's how you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. because I've been doing it for over a year. So here's my morning routine of how you can do this too. You're making your lifestyle content outward focused and unselfish. Okay, so that's content pillar number 1, top FAQs of the things you want to be known for. Content pillar number 2 is called trend problems. We're going to just sprinkle in like 4 of these, I think once a week throughout the 30 days. You're just going to pick a trending sound or a trending song and do an Instagram reel with text on screen. Say a relatable thought that you think your audience has. But you know that sound that's like I could take that sound, maybe I'll do this, and I can make a video with text on screen saying how it feels when you come across my account and realize you don't have to post 6 times a day to grow on social media. Or if you're a fashion content creator, you could say how it feels to know you can dress cute for the office without spending $500 on clothes. How it feels being in your 30s and realizing being single isn't the end of the world. Like, it's either a relatable thought about you of like when you come across my account and you feel this way, or it's like a relatable thought. So we're gonna do like 4 of those in the month. And then content pillar number 3 is 2025 mini guides. This is similar to content pillar 1, but you're tying it together as like a mini guide for 2025. Rather than answering one question of how do you charge for brand deals, I would say if you want to make $10,000 on social media in 2025, here's how you're going to do that. And it's like a bunch of steps in a mini guide. If you want to get a promotion at your job in 2025, here's how you're going to do it. So those are the 3 content pillars we're going to build off of throughout the month. You can either just do those 3. You could do 13 from pillar 1, 13 from pillar 2, and then 4 trends. I have mapped out how I would do that in the content calendar, but feel free to pick and choose like how many of each you want to do. So in addition to those 3 content pillars, if you're a lifestyle creator or a podcaster, there's other content you want to create that's not just like tips. This is where you can add in your own content pillars. So for example, I want to add in content throughout this month of vlogs. I want to start doing more vlogs, more lifestyle content. So I'm going to be adding in 4 vlogs throughout the next 30 days because I want to build connection, show you the behind the scenes. And a lot of people who follow me want to be a full-time content creator, a full-time podcaster. So I want to show you what that life looks like. So take a step back and think, are there any other types of content you want to post that the 1 million version of you would post? Do you really want to be known for your outfit of the days, for your work? So in your calendar, super simple, just slot in any other types of content or content pillars you want to add in addition to that base, and then play around with the content calendar so you have 30 pieces of content over 30 days. So that is the amount of content, and we're going to get deeper now into styles, execution, and posting, editing, all of it. And over these 30 days with 30 pieces of content, I want this content to be so focused on being good, savable, shareable, specific content. But before we get into the next part, I need to say, if you at all throughout the 30 days feel like posting every single day is affecting your mood, affecting your mental health, is making you feel burnt out, or like any sort of tightness in your chest, stress, anything, we're gonna pull back, recalibrate, and take a step back. Because what's going to happen if you're feeling stressed and burnt out and overwhelmed is that energy in your content is going to be off. The content's not gonna be your best. It's not gonna be the 1 million version of you. It's gonna just be rush and posting for the sake of posting. I do have to say there is a balance. Like, it's such a balance between pushing and pulling, and how do you just like push through a little bit. That is something you really have to figure out. So in the next 30 days, I would challenge you to post every single day, 30 days of content, 30 pieces of content, but let's just say mental health and being a human being is the most important thing always with content creation. So if you want to take Sundays off or post 25 pieces of content, like make it work for you. But in a growth phase, I think 30 pieces of content in 30 days, a mix of carousels, a mix of reels, everything we're going to talk about now, I think is a really good way to grow. But nothing is more important than you and taking care of yourself and your mental health. Nothing. And I know the social media advice is so confusing. Everybody says a different thing. Some people, I just saw a video of somebody saying, if you don't post 3 times a day, you don't want it bad enough. Or if you post 3 times a day, it's too much content. Like, the reason there's so much mixed advice is because it's all true and it's all not true at the same time. There is no formula. Like, there is no perfect amount of content, perfect time of day to post. Like, it doesn't exist, because how someone will follow you is if they resonate with a piece of your content, they go to your profile, you have similar content, and they follow you. Whether that piece of content is 1 out of 2 for the week, or you post 3 pieces of content a day, it doesn't really matter. As long as your content is good, is savable, is shareable, and is something that people want to follow and get more of. Best amount of content to post is how many times a week and a month can you post content like that. For some people who are full-time content creators, it is 3 times a day. For some people, it's 5 times a week. Like, whatever works. But in my opinion, it is quality over quantity, because quality content is how you get followers. It's not quantity content. And again, it just depends on your end goal, because if you don't really care about people who follow you, that like know you and get it and like are part of a community, then yeah, post 10 times a day random stuff that you think will go viral. If you don't care that the people who follow you are like a community who gets it, who gets your vibe, then all of this doesn't matter as much. But if you really want a community and like a million people who follow you that just get it and are like-minded, then all of this does matter. It's the quality over quantity in that sense. But I know a lot of people just care about followers. They don't care about community or engagement or anything. So it really depends on your end goal. But I'm assuming if you're watching the Busy Blooming podcast, you are somebody who wants a community, a movement, a corner of social media. I'm assuming that's what you want. Okay, so we got our season and we got our era. We got our content calendar of how much content we're going to post and our content pillars. Now let's get into what what does posting good content actually mean? This is where things get a little bit tricky because good content is very, very subjective. Content creation is a very creative field. Like when you go to an art gallery, there's a bunch of different paintings, different things. Like how do you really say if one painting is good and one's not good? It's very, very subjective. And as content creators, we're just like artists. What looks good, like your personal aesthetic of what you like in terms of carousels and text and graphics and filters and editing styles, like it all is so different. So what I've actually done is in the content calendar, I've linked creators that I would say from someone who's worked in this industry for 10 years, worked in marketing, influencer marketing, worked with so many content creators, like hundreds and hundreds. I have linked examples of what I think is good content aesthetically, value-wise. I've linked a couple examples of my content was performed really well, but mostly from creators I love and I look up to, and I think you will too. But overall, good content has really two things. It looks good and it's specific. It targets a specific problem, a specific person. When it comes to the first piece of content looking good, I've linked examples, but I've also created a Canva template because I know carousels can be a little bit confusing. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I've linked a Canva template that you can literally just use. I have the link and edit and pick and choose. I have a couple different examples, but just to get some thought starters of, okay, I think my carousels could look like this. And carousels, by the way, are just multiple pictures on Instagram. I saw a question that was such a good question on the last video of how do you know if a piece of content is bad or if you just need to be persistent? That is such a good question. I would say, honestly, if you are posting the same piece of content like 3 or 4 times and it's not performing well, there is a reason it's not performing well, and I would not keep doing the exact same thing. There's usually a reason things are not performing, and the reason is not other people, it's because of our content. So if your content is not performing after 3 or 4 times, throw it into our favorite girly, ChatGPT, and ask your ChatGPT why she thinks your content is not performing, or just try your hardest to objectively look at it and be like, okay, is this my best work? Like if I had 1 million followers, would I post this? Is this generic? Usually, honestly, it's because it's too generic. Could you talk to someone more specifically in your head that has like more specific problems? Like rather for me than saying, here's how to grow in social media, I would say, if you want to be a full-time content creator, but you're really busy, here's how to grow in social media if you have 5 hours per week. Like that is so much more specific. And take a look at what creators you love and look up to are doing. And is your content like on the same level as their content? Not even quality-wise, but just specific packaging, all of that. Okay, so we got our content calendar, our content ideas, pillars, everything. Let's take it a step further in execution and getting granular of your posting strategy. So you really have 2 options with posting content on Instagram. You can post it manually or you can schedule it. When you schedule content, I actually tested this out last week in prep for this video. You can either schedule content on like third-party websites and apps, or you can actually schedule content in Instagram. I would really recommend not using those other apps. I'm not going to say the exact ones that I tried. They didn't work. I'm going to tell you that. I tried scheduling out 5 TikToks, 5 Reels, 5 YouTube Shorts using third-party platforms. None of those pieces of content performed as well as when I manually posted them. And right now, for the 30 days, we're focused on Instagram. So what I would do is I would recommend posting your content manually in Instagram and scheduling it in Instagram. You can even go on Canva, batch out like 5 carousels, download them, upload them to Instagram, and schedule them out for the week. But we're going to talk about the algorithm after. But what really matters with growth is allowing Instagram to categorize your post. And the best way they categorize your post is through captions, text on screen, and with audio. And so if you're just scheduling through a third party, you're not getting all those elements that really categorize your post. They're really just categorizing it through the caption. For content creation, how to create and post content. For carousels, I would either use Canva, I have templates linked below, or I would use Instagram stories. I actually use Instagram stories a lot. So either go in Canva, upload your pictures, add your text, download it, or use your Instagram stories, upload your photo, add the text there, and then save them. In terms of Reels and video content, I would recommend either filming in TikTok and downloading it without the watermark, or I would film on my camera roll and edit in CapCut if you're in Canada, and you can still use CapCut, or you could use InShot, iMovie to edit your content. I wouldn't add any text, any captions, any music unless you're in the Instagram app. Film and edit your content however you'd like, and then add the music, add the captions, add the text on screen in Instagram to categorize your post. With all of your Reels and all of your carousels, you're going to add the music. And again, if you're talking, just add the music down to like a 1. But with your carousels, you have to add music because it will go in the Reels feed, and it's such a better way to grow. In terms of captions, like the actual caption on the piece of content, a really good strategy is just to use the caption, add 3 or 5 hashtags at the end, but use the caption to kind of just summarize what you've said in a few different sentences. I am not a long captions person, I feel like content is more shareable when the text is on the screen. And I know Instagram captions can be like a little bit overwhelming, but personally, I would just use the caption to give a bit of a summary of like what you talked about. Okay, so that is an overview of the 30-day challenge, a 30-day growth plan for Instagram, what types of content we're going to post, how often we're going to post. Now let's quickly go through the Instagram algorithm. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because this could honestly be an entirely separate video. One thing that's kind of fun about Instagram, YouTube does this as well, is they actually create content from the CEOs, from the C-suite, in the social media platforms to try to share with creators how Instagram actually works. And recently, the CEO of Instagram came out with like a mini series of videos that he did explaining like how the Instagram algorithm actually works. And Instagram actually has an account called Instagram Creators on TikTok and Instagram where they go through how Instagram works, tips for creators. If you go on the Instagram Creators account, you might see a familiar face there. I actually worked with them for about 9 months in 2024, talking with the Instagram team every single week. I created content for them every week for about 9 months on Mondays about product features in the back end of Instagram. It was such a fun experience, like probably my favorite thing I've ever done. And I feel like I have such a deeper appreciation after doing that of how much Instagram puts in effort to really help creators grow. So go follow Instagram Creators. This video was not affiliated with them. I'm not working with them anymore, but I just love that account so much. But let's just run through how the Instagram algorithm actually works in 2025. First things first, if somebody tells you to just hack the Instagram algorithm to grow, like run away as far as possible, because there actually is no one Instagram algorithm. There's actually 4 parts of Instagram, and then each part of Instagram has a categorization, prioritization process. So as a user, like when you're scrolling on Instagram, there's really 4 things you can scroll through. You can scroll through people's Instagram stories, through your home feed, through the Reels feed, and then through the Explore page. So each 4 of those parts of the app have a different algorithm or a different prioritization of why, when you're scrolling as a user, certain content comes up further for you in the feed when you're scrolling than other content. So as a content creator, what actually matters, a good way to look at it, is that there are 2 types of content that you can post. You can either post Instagram stories or content for your Instagram feed, which are carousels, single photo posts, and Reels. Instagram stories are designed for people who already follow you. So that's why in this strategy, I didn't really mention Instagram stories because they don't actually help that much with growth in terms of trying to reach people who don't follow you, because your stories go to your followers, not just that stories like aren't important, but I honestly think Instagram stories are just such a good way for that nurture content to connect with your audience, build a deeper connection, provide value, tips, behind the scenes, all of that. But if you're in a growth phase, you don't have a lot of time, I would put emphasis on your in-feed content. What's different about the Reels feed versus the home feed when you're scrolling is that the Reels feed is designed for people who don't follow you. And then your home feed is kind of a mix. I would say like 90%, I don't know if that's the right percentage, but 90% of the content you see on your home feed is usually people you follow. And then there's people who you don't follow suggested in there. Also threads are suggested in there. But Reels is literally designed to reach people who don't follow you. It's like its own Explore feed. And that is why people give the advice of carousels with music, because they go in the Reels feed and Reels to grow on Instagram. Because when you post a single photo post, it's probably going to only go to people who follow you, potentially on the Explore feed as well. But carousels and Reels are the best way to grow because that's what the feed is for. And so in this strategy, I just want us to focus on carousels and Reels. Also, quick update on Instagram is that Reels, if you live in the US, that are under 3 minutes can go to people who don't follow you. But if you live in the US and your Reels are over 3 minutes, they will only go to your followers. If you live anywhere else in the world, they have to be 90 seconds or less to go to people who don't follow you. Honestly, in general, regardless of where you live, I think 90 seconds is a good max because people's attention span on Instagram right now, it's still catering to shorter content. I do have to say though, like there's a limit with short content. You know that trend that was going around on Instagram where people were like blinking and it was like a 1-second video? Those videos drive me crazy, but that could be a personal preference. But I feel like I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing like 1 second long videos. I think like 10 seconds is a good aim for those trend problem videos because I feel like the 1 second ones, they get a lot of retention and a lot of views, but they don't convert a lot because there's only like so much value and so many times you can watch somebody blink over and over again. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Like, okay, that's great to know carousels, Reels, but like how do I get my Reels and carousels to get more views, reach more people? Such a good question. Let's unpack that. So there are really 3 reasons why your Reel and your carousel will get more reach. And And what Instagram actually is doing all the time in Reels feed for their users is they're trying to predict how much the user will like the content that they're seeing. So what they're going to do is take all the information from your reel, all the information from your carousel, and try to decide how much would certain people like this content. And how they do that is they look at your content and they think about the engagement, the categorization, and the relevancy. Something that's kind of interesting is Instagram actually ranks your reels and carousels different than your single photo posts or your stories. They actually emphasize on reels and carousels, saves and shares are the most important thing, but then on people who follow you, comments are actually the most important thing on like single photo posts. So when thinking about growth and all of that, saves and shares is like the number one. So that's why always thinking, is this content savable or shareable? That is really like the two biggest things for reels and why content gets pushed more, is if a lot of people are saving it and sharing it or sending it. But also they're going to try to figure out what is this post about, which how they do that is through your caption, your text on screen, the audio, and the captions of what you're saying. So all of that is a lot of that piece is where a lot of people's advice lives, is categorization. People talk about hashtags and captions and text on screen. Like, yes, that categorizes your video. But if that video gets on the right people's feed and they don't save it, they don't share it, then it doesn't get pushed anymore. So the categorization is just to get it on the right people's feed. Think about your caption, text on screen, like hashtags, have a couple categorization things, but that is less important than the engagement of the saves and the shares and the comments. So to keep it super high level, super simple, how to hack the Instagram algorithm, how to grow on Instagram, the things you should really focus on: is it savable? Is it shareable? And is it clear what this post is about? So it gets on the right people's feed. Do not like keyword stuff and like sacrifice savability and the shareability to get some good categorization on it. But think about a couple things that will categorize your post. I've actually grabbed all the different videos and things I've learned as well from working with Instagram, and all the videos that the CEO mentioned. I pulled the high points into two little checklists for Instagram reels and carousels. So there's a bit of a technical checklist that we can go through. I'm going to post this on our Instagram as well. But here's a bit of a checklist. So number one, don't have any watermarks on your content. If you download it from TikTok, just don't download it without the watermark. It won't get pushed out as much. Also, always add audio to your reels, to your carousels. Make sure your account is in good status, which it probably is. But you can just check that to make sure you're not like under review or flagged or something. Make sure your content in the US is 3 minutes or less, or if you're outside the US, 90 seconds or less. And categorize your posts. Use some text on screen, a few hashtags, a couple keywords in your caption. But look at the algorithm with abundance, not a scarcity mindset, that it is not the reason you are or not performing, is the algorithm, the categorization, all of it. The most important thing is saves and shares. So over everything, think about, is this content valuable? Would someone save this? Would someone send this to their friend? Would someone put this on their story? Like, that is the number one thing from a technical perspective. I do have to say a quick note. This is like not from Instagram at all. This is like a personal thing I've noticed, is that controversial content does do quite well on Instagram specifically. Not to say to go get yourself canceled, but I'm just saying, don't be afraid over the next 30 days to be bold and try different things. Like, for example, rather than saying day in my life as a content creator, being a content creator is the hardest job in the world, and I'm going to show you why. Or rather than saying you should stop scrolling on social media and like here's why, say scrolling on social media is making you ugly and depressed and here's how you're gonna stop. Like, trying to just be quite bold. I find Instagram, it does do quite well. So be bold over the next 30 days. One of the best ways to grow on Instagram is, again, back to the unselfish vlogs that Alyssa mentions, is to post outward focused content on Instagram rather than inward focused. I find that TikTok and YouTube actually do cater more inward focused content, but Instagram is more educational, outward focused, savable. So when creating for Instagram, rather than showing your morning routine, say here's how I wake up at 5 a.m. and you can too, to add some value to it, because that's going to increase saves and shares, which will increase your growth. Or rather than saying come with me to a workout class today, saying I'm going to test out this workout class in Toronto so you don't have to. And also, of course, we talked about this in the 3-month strategy video, but having your bio be clear about your corner of social media, having a statement like we do this over here, is a really good way to convert followers, and having your content be very themed, very branded, not niche down, but all your content is cohesive for your target audience, if that makes sense. Okay, I think that is everything I wanted to say for our 30-day challenge of what we're going to do on Instagram. If you're feeling at all like, okay, this is a lot of content to process, go check out the content calendar, go check out our Instagram. I'm going to consolidate all of this into some graphics and rules and a daily checklist, but I'm so excited for the next 30 days. Instagram is not ready for all of us to show up and show out over the next 30 days. Feel free to come back to this video anytime you'd like to have a content refresh, grow on Instagram. I'm actually going going to be kicking off vlogs on this channel as well quite soon, so I'll be showing you my progress as well. And I'm so excited for all of us to absolutely pop off on Instagram in 2025. The next 30 days, we're going to have a little bit of a push, a little bit of a challenge for ourselves of, okay, I can actually do this. But again, if you're posting a mix of carousels, a mix of videos, you probably only have to film like 15 videos and create 15 carousels. It's not that crazy. As always, your mental health and being happy is the number one thing. So don't let this stress you out. Content creation's fun. It should feel light. It should feel in alignment. It should flow, feel good. If you're feeling at all like resistance or stressed out or you don't know what you're doing, take a step back. Remember your why, your mission, your target audience, why you're doing what you're doing, your big scary vision to ground you and guide you. And I'm so excited for the next 30 days. Let's report back. Everyone in the comments, let me know if you're going to change anything about the strategy, what you're going to do over the next 30 days. And I'm so excited for this 30-day Instagram challenge. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.